Good afternoon, everybody. I'm so proud to welcome you to this press conference called Resilience in the Time of Climate Emergency at COP26. Never before have we heard the voice of science and faith so strongly at the COP. And we have a strong ethical agenda being pointed at us from heads of nations and in many speeches, in many sessions. Climate change is urgently calling us to overcome the ethical barriers and increase our inner resilience. My name is Sonja Olsson. I'm moderating on behalf of Brahma Kumaris, which is an NGO, part of the faith-based community at COP, and our focus areas are on mitigation and adaptation, mostly on the personal and community level. I'm very pleased to welcome a panel of 3 distinguished speakers. They will point out to us the shift in awareness needed to deal with the climate emergency and to build up the momentum needed to fulfill the Paris Agreement and to never give up on the goal of staying below 1.5 degrees global warming. So I have here on my right Professor Mark Lawrence, Scientific Director of Institute of Advanced Sustainability Studies in Potsdam. Then they have Golo Pils, Energy Advisor to the Brahma Kumaris. And here to my left I have Sister Jenti, Additional Administrative Head of the Brahma Kumaris. So I've asked Golo Pils to kick off our press conference today, and each speaker will have around 5 minutes, and then we have time for questions. So Golo Pils, he is advisor to Brahma Kumaris on renewable energy, and since the early 90s he has played a key role in establishing Brahma Kumaris as one of the major single users of renewable energy in India. And recently, Golo directed the construction of India 1, a 1 megawatt solar thermal power plant, and he will tell us more about that. And Golo also advocates sustainable solutions for an ethical and value-based approach, and has been part of many of the COP conferences which our team has been to since 2009 in Copenhagen. So Golo, welcome.
Yeah, thanks very much, Sonja, and welcome to our press conference. Just a short introduction of the Brahma Kumaris. We are a meditation organization with headquarters in India, and we operate around 7,000 meditation centers worldwide. And we are very active in India, and we advocate a lifestyle change through meditation. And since the last 10 years, we have been actively engaged also at the climate conferences, and we have set up an environmental initiative. But we also are very active in the field of raising awareness and consciousness, because we believe that an inner change will lead also to better action. We promote values and ethics, and of course, we advocate also to strengthen the inner resilience of everybody. As a policy, we support every real and true initiative to reduce the carbon footprint, the CO2 emissions globally, which is urgently needed. I just came from India, and the monsoon there is really out of order. We can say it came very, very late, not enough rain, and a lot of farmers are suffering quite visible. We also promote and support change of lifestyle, reduction of carbon footprint, look into your consume, look into your travel footprint, and so on. And we are one of the big users and promoters of renewable energies in India. And we also advocate to become a healer of the self and the world. I just would like to show some examples of our renewable energy projects. This is a 400 kilowatt photovoltaic system, and behind in our Om Shanti retreat place in New Delhi. And behind you can see a solar steam cooking system. We operate more than 500 photovoltaic systems in India, and we slowly inspire all our meditation centers there to go on renewable energies as much as possible. Here you can see a solar steam cooking system which we have set up in 1997. This is one of the first one in India, and it is still operational, and it is based on 24 parabolic dishes, and we can cook 2,000 meals per day. Here you can see a solar steam cooking system for 30,000 meals, which we set up in 1999, and this one is still working without any problem. We conduct workshops and seminars, and we invite engineers from all over India to come and study. The technology is open and free, so everybody can actually go for it. It just needs a bit of a workshop. This is a picture of our 1 megawatt solar thermal power plant, which we commissioned 3 years ago. It's a thermal power station with storage. We can run 24 hours, and you might know that one of the crucial factors in the transition to clean technology is storage. So here we have a fine example, and this project has been sponsored by the German and by the Indian government. And it is based on 770 parabolic dishes, a 1 megawatt turbine. And here also we conduct training. We also involve the local community. We give jobs to them. And as a part of our activities, we also promote the solar lantern and also the solar steam cooking box for communities. Now I would like to share also one project which we have set up recently. We all are aware that we not only have a crisis of environment and nature and climate, we also have a crisis of our mindset, of our paradigm. Our lifestyle is not sustainable, so we all know also we ourselves, we have to change, and it has to be an inner change which has to be initiated by us. And we as regular meditators, we are aware that meditation is a very powerful tool to bring that required change to all of us and to embrace values and ethics and bring them back in our life. If we are peaceful, loving, and compassionate on the inside, our actions will reflect that, and we will take care of nature and of the animals and so on. So we have set up a new platform called Yogis for Future, and there you will find meditation commentaries for inner peace, for nature, and so on. And you just click it, and you just can have 5 minutes peaceful experience. And we believe that this is very important to strengthen and bring resilience to all of us. So all in all, we believe that when we all join hands and we change on the inside, we will be able to bring the required change on the outside, and then nothing to worry about climate change, because technology is there and we humans have an incredible potential for change. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Golo. It's a beautiful example on increasing resilience on the community level by using renewable energy, and on a personal level by meditation. So our next speaker is Professor Mark Lawrence. Mark, you are Managing Scientific Director of Institute of Advanced Sustainability Studies in Potsdam in Berlin, outside Berlin. And you are an integrative scientist who addresses key challenges of the Anthropocene by bringing together a wide range of expertise. Your own expertise with background in atmospheric science, but also going beyond science and involving societal actors in transdisciplinary approaches. So welcome, Mark.
Well, thank you, Sonia. Thank you for the invitation to be here and to join you and Sister Genti and Golo in this press conference. There are 3 topics that I'd like to address here briefly. One of them is the interaction between faiths and sciences. Another is the possibility or the capacity of faiths to act as a barometer. And the third is the possibility of faiths to act as a conduit for action. Faiths and sciences have a tradition of a sometimes rather adversarial interaction between each other. We know many parts of history where faith and science have stood on opposite sides from each other, on opposite sides of quite conflicts. But faiths and sciences can also work together very closely. In particular, science is one way of helping us to understand the workings of the world, where faith, for something like 80% of the world's population, is a fundamental way of making meaning out of that understanding. And we see concrete cases of faiths and sciences working together, for example, in what Golo just showed, where the scientific developments around renewable energies are being brought out through faith communities. When we talk about resilience, we need to consider that in the issue of climate change, if we're going to have any chance to fulfill the commitments that were made under the Paris Agreement, it's going to need all hands on deck. Resilience can't afford us to have adversarial interactions. Of course, we can have different perspectives, but we need to understand that we need to be spending time working together and taking advantage of our differences to increase our overall strength and increase our resilience. And so this is why I encourage and very strongly support strong interactions between faith and science communities. Faiths also have two additional roles. First off, the decisions that are made here and in individual countries in terms of climate protection actions have to be accepted to an extent by the populations of those countries. If they're not, the leaders who make those decisions will end up voted out. And to understand how far they can go, how far you can actually push things at present to accept actions, faiths and faith leaders can serve as an important barometer into their communities, giving information on what can be supported. And at the same time, that can be turned around, because many of the decisions that will need to be made for our energy transition, our mobility transition, our nutrition and agricultural transition and other transitions will require significant transitions and transformations in people's lifestyles if we are going to have a chance to really combat climate change. These don't have to be bad transformations. These can all be transformations towards more holistic, more virtuous, more even enjoyable lifestyles. But to make that happen, we have to package that into narratives of understanding why we want to do this and how it's consistent with our fundamental beliefs. And again, this is something that religious leaders can play an important role in, helping be a conduit for action from the decisions that are made into the communities where, as in the example that Golo showed, these actions are really being carried out. And I hope we can see much more of this kind of cooperation in the future on our way towards hopefully fulfilling the Paris Agreement goals.
Thank you very much. We all know we can't find any solution alone. No nation, no area of expertise, or no individual can do anything alone. So it's a beautiful example on how we have to work together and also get the people with us in various ways. So thank you. And I'll introduce Sister Jenti. Sister Jenti Kirpalani. For over 50 years, Sister Jenti has been a messenger for peace, and she is the additional administrative head of the Brahma Kumaris, but also director of the centers in Europe and Middle East, and our main representative to the UN in Geneva. She's a long experienced meditation teacher and done a lot of research on personal values in relationship to world change, and been participating in meetings at the UN leading up to Rio Earth Summit and the design of the Earth Charter. And she's been with us at the COP since 2009, every COP as a speaker. Thank you, sister. Welcome.
Thank you, Sonia, and thank you to Golo and Mark for their presentations that have set a very lovely background to everything. And good afternoon to all of you. And I'd like to say that resilience is a topic that has really come onto the scene in recent times. Here at COP, I noticed that there's a UN pavilion that's talking about Resilience Hub. I was interested to see that also. And I think this is because we are seeing that climate emergencies have been increasing very rapidly over the last few years. And whatever we can do to keep the temperatures below 1.5 will be whatever happens. But meantime, all the emergencies that keep happening demand immediate resolution. And whatever money can be spared for mitigation, adaptation is, again, something that's yet to be seen. But what each one and communities can do is to build up their own inner capacity. Resilience has to do very much with the inner being, because if I'm strong, I can withstand whatever it is that's happening around me, whether it's politics or nature or human beings that are creating problems. But if I don't have that inner capacity, I'm not able to deal with situations in the right way. And probably my confusion and my distress is going to cause the crisis to intensify. We've seen this happen again and again. Something happens and there's a mob that starts running, then it's the mob reaction that actually causes more damage than the situation itself. And yet, if we can inspire people and have a training in which there can be a build-up of inner capacity, then definitely one person staying calm in a crisis situation is able to create others becoming calm also. One person afraid is going to create a response of fear within others too. Resilience is connected with the inner being in the sense that in silence, in meditation, I'm able to feel my own inner power develop, because I'm in touch with the qualities of goodness that lie within. And definitely, I believe that every human being does have goodness within themselves, but it's only through silence and that practice of meditation that people are able to connect with their own goodness and have that confidence and esteem and value for the self. And as I develop this awareness of who I truly am and connect with the goodness within, then my capacity to face the world outside, whether it's natural disasters or anything else, increases incredibly. And each one of us can do this in a very simple way through a shift in our awareness. Again, I was seeing the whole subject of shifting mindfulness and mindsets in terms of resilience on that pavilion. And I'm very aware that we've been talking about a shift of consciousness and a mindset for many, many years. In fact, the foundation of our spiritual university is understanding the mind, how the mind works, and how to develop its capacity to deal with situations. So the spiritual university offers a way for individuals, but also communities to develop resilience. But also part of resilience would be perhaps my own personal adaptation, which means simplifying my needs and changing my lifestyle. I don't think it's scientific data that can make a person shift in their attitude to lifestyle, but I do know that spiritual teachings can do that. But yes, it's wonderful to have the two subjects which are pillars of civilization, spirituality and religion, but also science come together to work together. So I'm happy that this panel is looking at the interaction of both as well as the subject of resilience. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Gentile. And it's very good to be reminded about what meditation can do to you and to your inner calm, and that both calm and fears spread equally fast. And if we have time, I will ask you to guide a short meditation before we finish. And we'll open up for questions from all of you now. But before I do that, I have a message from our Interfaith Liaison Committee to the UNFCCC. And Valerian Bernard is sitting here at the front, and she is Brahma Kumaris representative in our Interfaith Liaison Committee. And she has written to me, the interfaith voices are joining to call to COP26 to deliver, and the Interfaith Liaison Committee have arranged a Talanoa dialogue in the spirit informal interfaith dialogue in the spirit of Talanoa, and they will deliver the main outcomes of this dialogue in the next few days to UNFCCC. And our Interfaith Liaison Committee continues to follow the negotiations closely, as it needs to see a just and sustainable course for the future of our planet. And if you have any questions to that later on, you can ask Valerian, who sits here in the front. And I welcome comments or questions from you sitting here in the audience. So if you have any, you can put your hand up. Yeah, please. There's a microphone coming to you.
Thank you. Hi, thank you so much for your presentation. It was really refreshing and really interesting to see how you can actually link faith and politics in a way, because I study in France where that's not a thing at all. So that was really cool. I was wondering how you work with other faiths to ensure that you can achieve climate justice through more consciousness and just being more present in a faith-based way and meditation-based way, and how you make sure that every faith is heard equally. What is the system and what is the standard, kind of?
Thank you very much. I will ask His Dignity to answer that. Yeah.
I think the key word is respect. When I'm based within my own spiritual awareness and I have that awareness of self-esteem and self-respect, it's very natural that I should be able to offer respect to all human beings, but all forms of life and the planet, of course. But it means that when we come together with that mutual awareness of respect for each other, then it's very easy to work together and cooperate together. And I think one of the other factors is that our personal theology would be whatever it is, whether I'm from the East or the West or North or South, but yet we understand that the crisis that the world is facing at the current moment can only be sorted out if all of us come together and work with cooperation and coherence together. And so the vision is one of a better world for all, and so it's that vision that brings us together in this way.
Thank you. Any other questions? I have one, and I will ask the panelists to reflect on this and to make it a bit more personal. So, as your three panelists here, what do you suggest to individuals and to communities to how to deal with the coming climate emergency, which is just on the doorstep? It's happening right now. So what is your suggestion to the people, to individuals and communities, what to do on the outer or the inner level? Golo, you want to take that first?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of possibilities on an individual level, what we can do. We can look into our energy production, how we build a house. I built 20 years ago a little green energy house out of mud bricks, and I live inside that. It's very cozy, very nice. And I run solar hot water, photovoltaic. I have a solar cooking box. I have an electric bicycle, and so on and so on. So we can do a lot in a practical field in terms of waste management, also in terms of our diet. We promote, of course, a plant-based diet, how we buy things, how we travel, and so on. Lots of opportunities, and I think the internet is full with good suggestion, what is good for the climate. So there's a lot of chances and opportunity. But I'm also meditating regular since the last 37 years. And I just came from India and had a very nice 1 month at our headquarters in the mountains and went every evening for meditation and sort of charged myself with peace and tranquility, also to brace myself for the climate conference here because it's very busy and very noisy sometimes. And I feel this is also important that we heal ourselves and nourish our heart, because technology is there, the mind has all the information, but we have to charge also the heart. And I think meditation is a powerful tool to do that, and both together then can bring the change, and both together then develop our full creative potential. And if we all join hands, nothing to worry, everything will become good. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark, what would you say to your family or grandmother or children, how to prepare for the coming times?
I would say it's important to recognize that there are a number of people who say that it's the responsibility of individuals to deal with the issue of climate change and to deal with other issues that we have as grand challenges that we face, that we have to change our individual behaviors. And there's others who will say, no, it's the responsibility of policymakers, it's the responsibility of systems change. We have to have appropriate policies, appropriate regulations, appropriate market structures, infrastructure development, and so on. And this no is part of the problem because it's not either or, it's both. And Golo, if I'm not mistaken, lives near Ahmedabad. Mount Abu is somewhere in that direction.
Rajasthan.
Rajasthan. Okay. So one of the holy places of the Brahma Kumaris is Mount Abu, which is fairly close to Ahmedabad, which is where Gandhi had his ashram. And while I have a number of scientific role models, I also take Gandhi as a role model. And Gandhi said, "Be the change you want to see in the world," which was very important in the context of the kind of change he was bringing about. But I think in our context, we need to develop that further and say, be the change agents for what you want to see in the world. And that has two parts to it. First off, showing that you go ahead of policies. You don't wait for policies to tell you. We need to change our energy structures and our energy providers. We need to change our mobility. We need to change our ways of interacting with each other. We need to change our diets. We need to change our consumption. We don't wait for that. But we go ahead and do that on an individual level. But at the same time, that's not going to be enough. We have to encourage policymakers in our own special ways. We have to encourage systems change in our own special ways. And whether you support that through doing science on it, whether you support that by bringing it out across in your faith communities, whether you support that through investments, whichever way you can, support the changes in the infrastructures and the systems that we need to change in order to bring about an adequate response to this challenge of climate change.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And for Sister Yante, I think I'll ask you to guide a short meditation with us instead. We have like 2-3 minutes. And I hope it's okay with all of you, and you just sit up and enjoy a moment of silence together with us.
Thank you for the opportunity. Just sitting quietly, reflecting on the things that we've heard. Is it possible for me to find that inner space deep within myself where there is peace? If I'm aware of the inner being and go on the inner journey, I can connect with my eternal identity, my spiritual identity, and discover that space of peace. As my thoughts slow down and awareness creeps in, aware of who I am, aware of purpose, aware of meaning, aware of the entire web of life. Peace begins to open a door. As I walk through that door, I discover compassion. And in this awareness of the natural quality that exists within the self, compassion for the self, for others, all forms of life, and the elements of nature. Compassion flows out, and a process of healing begins. At this moment, as we focus on healing, we are able to move forward together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed that moment of silence. And I say thank you to the speakers here, and I think we can give them a hand. Thank you very much. And on the slide here, you see our website and hashtags, and if you want more information, tomorrow the Brahma Kumaris has an exhibition in the green zone where you can see more on our renewable energies. And across the corridor here, IIS have a dialogue and dialogue space, a pavilion for dialogue. And you're most welcome to keep in touch. Thank you very much.